right, let's jump in. Let's do this. So we're going to start with this sacred map oracle this morning. I hope everyone's doing well. Sorry, I just got a bit of a losing my throat chakra thing here. Hold on. All right, so welcome to those who are new. We're going to the cards to find out what's happening on planet Earth and in our lives. And we'll see what's coming up. I hope everyone's been enjoying the sun. We've had some crazy thunderstorms out my way and some hail and all kinds of wacky weather, but today it's sunny and nice and looking good. So we're going to the Enchanted Map Oracle to kick off this morning. And our first card. All right. So I pulled a card called the Wizard of Awareness. And I really love the three spirals that are behind this, the wizard in the picture. Kind of reminds me a bit of Gandalf, if we've got any Lord of the Ring fans out there. So when I connect to this card, I'm very drawn to those circles. And to me, those circles are representing our past, our present, and our future. And I feel like Spirit is asking us to look at our past, our present, and our future together instead of separately, because all of those things make up who we are. And we need to understand our past in order to adjust our present and to also create our future. We always are assessing what happened in the past, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we did, what we didn't do, what we should have done, what we wanted to do, to determine our present, what we want to bring into our life now to create change. And we need to do that. Otherwise, we keep repeating a cycle in our lives that maybe we don't want to keep repeating. The idea of the spiral is instead of a circle, like we do go through circular patterns every year, but instead of a circle, it rises every year. So we're getting a little bit smarter with each cycle. We learn from our experiences or our mistakes, if you want to call them that. There are no mistakes, but we learn from our experiences and we get the wisdom from our experiences that take us into that next level. And we're following our own path in this lifetime. Everyone's doing their own little spiral here. But Spirit's asking us, we need to look at these three elements together and integrate them. You know, if you've had things that have happened in your past that have been traumatic, or you don't want to look at them and you're kind of like, that's my past and I'm putting a wall down and that's it. Spirit's saying, well, just wait a minute. You can go back to your past and take some of those wisdom pieces, the things you learned, your gifts, your talents, your abilities, and bring those forward into the present to help you create a future that you want. And for some of you, this might be tapping into your past life experiences and bringing some of those gifts and energies forward to utilize in this lifetime here. Because our present lifetime is the sum total of all of the lifetimes we've ever had. So if you believe in past lives, if you had an amazing past life, I don't know, centuries ago, it doesn't mean you have unevolved to this lifetime. You've brought it all forward. So this is the culmination of all of that wisdom and all of that knowledge. So this is the lifetime to put it to work. So this card is asking us to connect to those things. And when you do so, then you're going to find your own inner wizard or your own inner magician. And the idea of magic, it's not just that things are happening arbitrarily. It's very much your consciousness and your energy combined with a focus to bring things into being, to bring things into manifestation. Now in the world, we're all doing it separately and together, so there's like co-creation happening constantly. So we're not doing this in an isolated bubble. Your manifestations are bouncing off other people's manifestations, but it's asking us to have that awareness and to access our past and assess our past to bring that wisdom forward. So this is a message for any of you who sort of don't like going to your past or don't want to go and want to just forget it ever happened. That's fine, but there's a need to go back there to bring some information or wisdom forward that will help you in your future. Okay, so don't be afraid of the past and don't discard it. There are some real jewels there for you. All right, so going into the next deck, I'm going to the Universal Love deck, which is one of my favorites for those who've been here since the beginning. It's been over a year now we've been doing this. I can't believe it. I can't wait to be back in the trailer doing this. Hopefully my little trailer will be ready soon, and I actually hope to take it on the road and maybe just kind of go around local neighborhoods and have little pop-up tarot card days where I'll just have the day free and it will be like drop-in readings with people. I think that might be fun. Maybe even cross Canada tour. Who knows, right? All right, so the Universal Love Deck. Oh, I love this card, the Gateway. So I've pulled this card a few times in the past, but like I've talked about before, when I read cards, I don't always just go, oh, this card means this. I always look at the image in the picture and what I'm being pulled to. And I'm being pulled to this here. And to me, it looks like something coming into creation, almost like a building in the background that hasn't quite been built yet, something that's being created. And this double circle here to me is about connection and communion. This is like our own energy in our own lives, in our own container, and another person, and then where we intersect and how we change each other's lives by connecting. And this happens in relationships all the time, friendships, intimate relationships, where you intersect with someone, you connect your lives together, and then that creates a new energy or a new life from both your energies. So it's also a card of balance. But this is about finding that balance and creating from that place of balance. So for those of you who've been trying to make things happen in your life, if you've been feeling stuck or stopped, or you kind of get halfway there and then you pull back, I totally get it. I've been doing that all year. It's really hard to read the energy of what's to come in terms of making big plans or making big choices. So it might feel like you're like interrupted in that process, and that's been the energy of what we've been in. It's been very kind of all over the place. But this card is saying we're coming into a place of balance where you're going to find it easier to create things that last. So you'll have more clarity about your future. So if you've been struggling, should I move? Should I change careers? Should I start this business? Should I travel? Whatever those questions you have are. If in this past year you've been feeling like you can't make a decision or find any clarity no matter what you do, you are going to start having that come to you now. I actually feel like September is going to be a really good month for feeling nice and balanced and having clarity about some of these big choices that you might be thinking of making. So I would use the next month of August just to gather more information and kind of research things, and then get ready to kind of go forward on it in September, because the energy will be supportive of those things. So really exciting card, really good stuff coming. And yes, yay, right? Okay, so this is the spellcasting oracle that I'm going to for our next card. I have many decks. I probably have about 40 decks, and I'm always collecting new ones. I just like them, but I've been collecting new ones. I tell myself it's for this, it's for you guys, right? So that you don't get bored with the same decks, but really it's just an excuse to collect oracle decks. And I just bought a big crystal last week. I did not need another crystal. I got a huge obsidian. I left it up at the trailer, but oh my gosh, you can see all these crystals behind me. That's just a very small amount of my collection. When I downsized to a tiny house a few years ago, I didn't give up a single crystal. I got rid of everything else, but I'm like, the rocks are coming. Okay, so I just pulled the closure card here. And look at this beautiful light that's in this picture, and this glowing light, and this person walking, and the path is lit, and it's a very high frequency, very heart opening energy in this card. And then when you look at the word closure, I don't know about all of you, but sometimes I associate closure with sadness or grief, or like, oh God, it's the end of something. Like, I much prefer beginnings than endings. But this is a beautiful closure. This is a closure of a chapter in your life, or something that has happened that you're really ready to let go of now. You're really ready to let go of the heaviness of it. So maybe the event itself has passed, but you're still carrying a bit of that grief or a bit of that loss or sadness, whatever it is. Maybe it's fear, and Spirit's saying it's now time. It's okay. It's complete. It's okay to close that door, because as soon as you do and surrender to that, surrender to the letting it go, this is what's going to happen. Okay, your whole path will light up for you, and new opportunities will come your way. New people, places, things, times, and events are going to come into your life. So but you have to make the decision. You're the only one who can decide when you're complete with something. But once you do, Spirit's going to be like, okay, finally, you're here. We can now take you to the next thing. They can't jump in and interfere and force our process or anything like that. We have to be ready. So if you've been afraid of letting go of something, or if you've been afraid of the completion of something, the message here is not to be afraid, because bigger, better, brighter things are coming to you, okay? So have faith, trust Spirit, maybe send a prayer out if you need to, maybe ask your guides and angels to help you find the courage and the clarity to bring closure to something in your life that you've been struggling with. And then you'll feel the energy instantly shift and send you on a trajectory to that new stuff that's coming. Okay, I know the endings, they're hard sometimes, but for some of you, the actual ending of the thing has occurred already. It's just the hanging on to the grief or sadness or indecision or whatever it is you're hanging on to. It's more of an emotional thing that you need to put closure on rather than an actual like event. I feel like the event has already happened for most of you. Okay, so just tidying up that emotional stuff. Ooh, lots of exciting things happening. Okay, so we're going to our next deck here. And this is Colette Baron Reed deck. It's an older one, but it's still good. And I just pulled a card called the Diamond Dreamer, which is about material wealth and true prosperity. And I was actually drawn to the words in this card more than the image, which doesn't always happen. But see the genie in the picture here? This is reminding us, Spirit's reminding us, like, we are the genie. We don't need a genie. We don't need 3 wishes. We are that magical being. We decide. You know, it's easy to feel like a victim of circumstance in life because, you know, we exist with other people. There are things that are outside of our control always. But what we can control is our attitude about things and how we feel about them and how we think about them. We are 100% in control of that. And sometimes it's easy to forget that because we feel like, oh, that person made me mad, or that person hurt me, or this happened, but we choose how we see that. So you could have a horrible experience happen and say, wow, this is a really interesting energy coming towards me that's giving me clarity on what to do next, instead of feeling like a victim of something. Because we're actually not. We're very powerful. And this card is reminding us of our power and our power to create and our power to bring our own wishes into fruition. We don't have to wait for a magical being to come and do it. We are that magical being. But it's really easy to forget that in life because we get kind of sucked into this feeling like we're not powerful and we're not in control, especially after the last year we've had when we've been, you know, stuck in our homes and not able to do anything. But we've always been in control of this. And if you talk to different people, some people, and you know, it's been up and down, and I'm not judging this because I've had my moments too through the whole COVID thing where, you know, I've been really productive and I've kind of kept my vibe high, and then I've got sucked into the undertow and, you know, felt like absolute crap for several days and depressed and all that. We're human beings. We're going to feel all the feelings. So it's not to beat yourself up if you haven't been like, you know, stellar through all of it. But this card is just reminding us like we have more power than we think. We're in more control of things than we think. And Spirit wants us to start using that. Okay, so if you've been feeling like you've been victimized from things in your life, and that can happen, and I understand that, but Spirit's just asking you to sort of shift a little bit in your mind and start taking steps forward, even if it's tiny steps, anything that you can change or control. You might not be able to change the big picture, but you can at least control how you're seeing it. So start seeing everything that's coming to you over the next few weeks as like magical messages from Spirit. Even if it's like a perceived bad thing, see it as, you know, I'm getting this message, I'm getting this clarity. I had this negative experience to show me I'm not to be in this environment, or I need to have better boundaries with people, or I need to make different choices, or maybe I need to give up that job or relationship or whatever it is that's not good for me. So we're the powerful ones, okay? Don't forget that, and don't let anyone make you forget that. Remind yourself that. Surround yourself with, have at least a couple of friends who are going to remind you how wonderful and magical you are, okay? Especially if you're surrounded by a lot of negative people. It's really hard to keep your vibe high. So always have people in your circle of friends that you can connect to that lift your vibration. And if you don't have friends that can do that, then do things like take courses, read books, listen to podcasts, do online meditations, do whatever you need to do to keep your vibe high, because we're all kind of in this sort of frequency soup together. And sometimes you're giving a lot of energy away, and sometimes you need to receive. And I'm a big believer in finding balance there. Is it possible? I don't know, to be honest. It's a constant struggle in my own life, finding that balance. It's much easier to give than receive, I feel sometimes. So it's really hard to have to kind of like take that time. But it's so important, because if you take that time and fill yourself up, then you have more to offer. So finding that balance, okay? All right, I just pulled this card from the Starseed Oracle. It's called Jump In, and it's all about adventure and saying yes to change. And I feel like this is like really about saying yes to change, but it's also about saying yes to your soul, because our soul or our spirit has a certain agenda in this lifetime. And sometimes that voice can be quite quiet or in the background, and we're going about doing our human things and our things that, like, I'm doing my Kerri things that I want to do. My spirit might be like, oh, but what about this? And I'm like, oh, no, we don't need to do that. And spirit's saying, pay attention to that little voice, pay attention to that nudge or what you're being pulled to. There will often be, with soul, soul path stuff, or things that our soul wants us to do, there will be an element of excitement and joy. That's how you know, because you'll be really excited about something. Now, very often there's fear too with that, so it's hard to discern. And the fear is just the fear of the unknown. And your soul is excited because it's like, we haven't done this before. We're really excited. We want to do this. And so you're pulled to it. But then there's the fear of, well, what if it doesn't work? Or what if it's not for me? Or what if? And we try and talk ourselves out of it. And Spirit's saying, just jump in. Just trust. If you've got that really powerful feeling of joy and excitement about something, you can go through it. You will not be fearful of it again. Now, we have fear sometimes to keep us away from things we're not meant to do and to keep us safe. But a lot of times our fear is just because we're afraid of the unknown or something we haven't experienced. So try to discern that, but jump in. Like, at least put a foot in the direction of where you want to go. You'll find out very quickly if it's right for you. We're not going to figure it out sitting on the couch in our heads, like figuring out our lives. Sometimes you just have to take that step forward, that leap of faith, and start inching forward in a direction. You can change your mind. You can always reverse, okay? It's not like a car and you can't reverse it. You absolutely can. So Spirit's saying, jump in, breathe, have some faith in yourself, really trust yourself. You know more than anyone, okay? You can have intuitive readings till the cows come home. But honestly, you know yourself better than anyone. You know your body better than anyone. You know your mind better than anyone. You know your energy better than anyone. And that's like my thing, is I'm always trying to teach people how to connect to that better, because you are the person that you need to go to for this stuff. You can go to other practitioners and healers in the interim until you get connected, but we all have that ability to intuitively connect, to make decisions in our lives. So I'm all about like getting people hooked up back to that, because I think when we are all connected to our intuition more, we will have less world chaos. There will be less fear, less ridiculous things happening. So there's still a lot of fear out there. Absolutely. Okay, wow. I didn't even know this card existed in the deck. I just pulled the Fairy Magic card. And for me, and this is a beautiful mandala that just makes me think of nature, like flowers and nature. And for me, fairies are connected to nature, to that realm of pure nature. And getting into nature and spending time in it really does heal us. It heals us instantly. It kind of cracks me up when I see those pictures, people talking about grounding and earthing and walking bare feet in the forest like it's some kind of new phenomenon. Like, we've been doing this since we came to the earth. Of course we're supposed to connect in nature. They know it heals us. I mean, living in our little containers and with our screens and all that, they know isn't good for us. We are biological beings. We need to connect to the physical, natural earth in order to recharge and heal our bodies. So if you're feeling off, you got to get outside. Connect with the fairies. They're always usually around the flowers. They're in the forest. You can just sit and meditate and ask them to come into your space and just notice what that feels like. They will come if you invite them, especially if you're still. They don't like a lot of jumping around, crazy energy. Don't bring your wild dog with you or anything like that, but just sit quietly and ask them to come. You can even ask them for healing. Some of you might feel them physically. It's really interesting, and they have beautiful energy, and their job is to take care of nature and take care of the plants. Think of them as spirit guides for the plants, just like we have our own guides and angels for us. So get outside. I'm always a big preacher of get outside. If you don't feel good, just get outside. Get a hammock. Hammock time. It's good if you're not feeling well, or even get it before you're not feeling well. Help you stay in a good space. So there's nothing like a hammock. It's just like you feel like you're being held. You can be out under the trees. Oh, it's amazing. I'd love a tree house. One day I'm going to have a tree house. I have a big tree in my front yard, but I have a really small front yard, and it's technically a city tree. But I was saying to my friend the other day, I'm like, I want to build a tree house in that tree, like just to sit up there and watch the sunset. I don't care if my neighbors think I'm a lunatic. Probably gonna do it anyway. All right, so let's go to the Work Your Light Oracle. Trust your path. Oh my gosh, okay, I feel like we're being, it's being hammered over our head. Trust, have faith, trust, have faith. You're on the right path. Have trust, have faith. Yeah, Spirit's sort of shouting at us. So for those who've been like kind of on the fence with something or really not trusting yourself, this is a really loud message from Spirit asking us to trust ourselves and do whatever you need to do to get to that place. So if you have an intuitive idea about something and you're not sure and you're having trouble trusting yourself, one of the best ways to get clarity is to meditate. And even if you struggle with meditation, doing a guided meditation. Also, a really wonderful way to get clarity is before you go to bed at night, ask the question. Just say, you know what? Ask your guides and angels and be like, I'm really struggling with this. I really need clarity on this. I don't know what decision to make about this. Please help me find the answer while I'm sleeping. And 99.9% of the time, you'll wake up in the morning and the answer will pop right into your head. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. If you have any intuitive friends, or you could like have a session with someone to kind of get that clarity. Oftentimes when I'm doing intuitive one-on-one sessions with people, they say to me, oh, I knew that already. I just needed someone else to say it. So sometimes those sessions are just to give you that nudge or that push or that confirmation that you're getting it, that you are on the right path. So Spirit is definitely asking us to trust right now. That seems to be the biggest message coming forward so far this morning. So let's see what else we've got going on here. I'm really drawn to the fairy oracle cards, so let's go to those next. Also too, and I find this in my life, and I have been having this experience lately because I have all these things up in the air and I have some big decisions that I've been holding off on making because they just haven't felt right. So I've been kind of like in this holding pattern. And I just decided yesterday I'm not doing any of them. I'm just going to wait because I'm not getting that clarity. And so I'm just putting everything on pause until I get more clarity or more of a feeling of what the right direction to go in is. And I feel like because we've been kind of ungrounded from the energies of the last year, it's been hard to start new things. I usually have no trouble with the thought and the get going on it and making it happen. Like that's sort of my, I guess, way I operate in the world. And this past year, it's been like, oh, I have an idea. I'm going to do this. And then it's like, no, pull back. And then it's been like that all year. People around me probably think I'm a crazy, distracted person, but it's just the energy keeps changing so rapidly. It's hard to keep up with it, and it's hard to know what to do next. So if you are unsure, just wait, but ask Spirit for clarity. You will get those signs, those messages will come to you. And we're also, I just pulled the inspiration card from the fairy deck. So for those of you who have been feeling maybe depressed, maybe a bit like, oh, my life's crappy lately, or you just haven't been motivated, you're going to have that inspiration energy come to you, which is what we need when we create. We need to feel inspired. We need to feel excited about things, or we won't have the energy to see it through. Okay? Never go into something if you have this ho-hum attitude about it. It will take so much energy to complete it. You need to have that excitement, that passion, that vitality, that wanting to do it. Might not end up that way at the end, but you at least need to start with that. So never go into anything with this feeling of, I don't know, or, ooh, or, you know, if you're not feeling it, just wait. Just wait. You'll always get more information to come to you. So, but we will be getting that inspiration. Spirit saying it will be coming to us. So that's good. That will help some of you with clarity. You'll be like, oh, I'm really inspired to do this now. So that's a sign. Now, word of caution with that, because I get really excited about vintage trailers, and I'm living in a house with a very small driveway. And if I had my old house with my big driveway and my 3-car garage, I'd probably have 10 trailers. So I'm kind of like, yes, I'm very inspired about trailers, but I don't think my neighbors would want me lining the streets with my trailers. So I need to find a storage solution or some land or something. So I have to curb that a little bit. So yes, you can be excited about things, but you also have to kind of like meditate on things too. And you know, let the logical brain have a go. Combine the intuition with the thinking part of the brain. Ooh, okay, bats. Have any of you had a lot of bats lately? I've been seeing them everywhere, and I get excited when I see them because they like to eat the mosquitoes and all the other bugs that like to get me. But this is all about rebirth, resurrection, new beginnings. It's like that first card we talked about where there might be some things from your past that it's time to just release. It's time to let go of that old hurt, that resentment, that fear, those events, whatever it was, just to let them go. And BAT is going to help you do that. It's going to help you let go of the things in the past, put them to bed, bury them however you want to let them go. And then that resurrection into that new energy so that you can go into your future fresh, unencumbered, without the fear, without the uncertainty. You'll be able to go forward and with that confidence and with that energy that you want to start a new life or start a new project. And I have been talking to people in my life, and this energy has been hitting some of us already. I've been talking to people who are like, you know, selling their houses and moving to another country and doing these like really big things that are like, you know, life-changing. And so that's what's happening. So you might be getting some of that energy coming your way where you get this kind of divine inspiration where maybe you want to change your career and totally switch it up, or move to another part of the country, or do something huge that you've been thinking about for years, and it just one day you're just like, today's the day. So that energy is coming to help us, definitely. Almost like reincarnate, but in the same body, but your whole life is shifting, like you're coming into a new beginning. So for those of you who have been struggling lately, this is really good news, because this is like you're turning a corner, or you're moving into that new chapter. You can like turn the page, let that old chapter go, and start writing the new one. And that's the energy that's supporting us right now. So make the most of it. All right. So I'm going to this next deck. And you can see she's reaching for that star. It's actually closer. Sometimes when we think we're reaching for stars, it's like, oh God, I'm never going to get to it. It's there. It's in your hand. It's already there. It's just being willing to grab it. So those opportunities are coming to you. Okay, don't turn away from them. When you're asking for change in your life and you want something different, the opportunities that come your way are going to sometimes feel a bit weird because you're not used to them, because they're new. They're of the new frequency you're going to. They're not going to vibrate to the old frequency of comfort and what you know. You know, sometimes it's scary. You have to get outside your comfort zone if you're going to really change your life. So for those of you who have been asking to change your life in huge ways, you know, you're going to maybe have more fear when the opportunities come because it's vastly different from the life you've been living. Okay? And you can take your time with it though. You don't have to do it overnight. Like when I think of big decisions and big things, I mean, I was in a relationship for 24 years. I was married. I had 3 kids. I left that relationship. It took me a long time to leave that relationship. But when I did, it was just like, whew, instant relief and everything just rearranged in my life. But it took a lot to make that move. Like that's a really big decision that affected more people other than just me, for one thing. And not knowing what my future was going to look like. And it's still kind of up in the air, to be honest. It's all over the place. But it's like those little tiny choices we make. But then sometimes we are making these big choices. We're reaching for that thing that we've wanted. And it might not be a relationship ending. Like it's just, you might want more happiness or more joy or more freedom. And for me, for years, my mantra was, I've always had enough time, money, freedom, and resources to live my dreams. That was my affirmation, because sometimes you have the time and you don't have the money. And sometimes you have the time and the money and you don't have the freedom. And, you know, so you could have a similar mantra and be like, I've always had the time, money, freedom, resources, and courage to live my dreams if fear is what's holding you back. So come up with some kind of mantra or phrase that you can kind of repeat to yourself, or hang it on your wall or on your fridge or your bathroom mirror to remind you of where you're trying to go. Because Spirit is saying, like, reach for that star, reach for that thing. If you can't jump to it right away, but keep the momentum. It's all about the momentum. So that's why I'm a big believer and kind of preacher of like baby steps, guys. Baby steps. There's still steps. And then once you get that momentum, then you get going. And that applies to everything. And I'm applying that right now to exercise because, for whatever reason throughout COVID, like I put on a lot of weight and I feel really in my body right now. And I know that I need to have a better routine. I need to be like schedule it in and do it the same time every day so that it doesn't so that it's consistent. And I need to do those little baby steps, and then I'll start feeling better and the momentum, and then I'll just stay in that routine. So for some of us, routine is important, and maybe you have a routine of meditation, or maybe you have a routine of just quiet time where you lay outside on the grass and you just receive the energy from the earth to recharge. Whatever it is, whatever you're struggling with in your life, whatever you're having trouble implementing or bringing in, schedule it in. Just be militant about it, at least in the beginning, and then you'll build that relationship, you'll build that routine. For some of you who've been trained in healing, Reiki healing, some of my Reiki students out there who've kind of slid off and haven't done their self-practice, that's the most important thing. Give yourself a little bit of Reiki every day, even if it's only 10 minutes. It will keep your energy clear. It will just help everything in your life be smoother. You can find 10 minutes. If you brush your teeth and have a shower and do all of that other stuff, you can find 10 minutes to give yourself some healing or some meditation, or, just ask Spirit to heal you, whatever it is. But do those things for yourself. It's so, so important, okay? All right, we're going to go to this Moonology deck, which is cool. It's got all the moon cycles. And for those of you who just hopped on, the cool thing about this with Instagram now is they automatically post it live. And so you can go back and review it. I also will post this on my website under Tea and Tarot, circleoflightwellness.com. So you can go and access this one or any of the past ones. And even though I'm reading the energy of the 2 weeks we're having now, some of the past episodes are still relevant, because I kind of set it up with Spirit that when we do this, it's like all time, So you could watch one from last year and be like, oh my God, I needed to hear that message. So like I'm channeling this. Like this is just, I'm just saying everything that pops into my head, and most of it's not me. Like it's, so Spirit knows what you guys need to hear. I trust that. I look like a crazy person most of the time. That's okay. Right. Hey, Sherry, glad to see you join. My friend Sherry, she's under Pink Moon Energy. You guys can like her on Instagram. She's another intuitive. She's awesome. We used to work together when I had my wellness center in Waterdown. So just shout out to Sherry. Okay, luck is on your side, guys. This is really good. This is good. This makes me want to get off my butt and do some of the things I've put on the back burner. We got to make the most of this energy for the next 2 weeks because Spirit's like saying, we've got your back and luck's on your side and great opportunities coming your way and make the most of it and go for it. So we're in that energy of like, do it. Just do it. Okay? 110%. All right. Just flying through the cards today. Yeah, so. Okay. So I'm just going to share a funny story because why not? So one of the things that I had on the decisions I was trying to make that I couldn't figure out was I was looking at buying land in Costa Rica actually, which is weird. I've never been to Costa Rica. But it came up on my radar a couple times, but every time I meditated on it, after I was committing to it, I sort of had a spot on hold. I kept getting a no, and I'm like, why am I getting a no? I really want this land in Costa Rica. I'm going to build a tree house, and it sounds so cool. And I kept getting no. So finally, I had to just go with my intuition because I know when I don't go with it, bad things happen. So I don't know why I got no. Maybe it was the wrong part of the world. Maybe it was going to be about the building or the money or whatever. Maybe there were going to be complications, or maybe weird stuff's going to happen in the world and I won't be able to access the property. Or maybe I'm supposed to go elsewhere. Maybe my energy is supposed to be elsewhere other than there. So I had to trust that, even though I really wanted it. I was like, no, I have to go with my gut, because in the past, when I haven't trusted my intuition, disaster. So part of intuition is learning to trust it, even if it doesn't make logical sense. So I took a pass on that. I'm loose in the quantum field. I've decided just to do nothing and float for another year and see what comes my way. But I just pulled the Archangel Michael card, and this is an amazing card because he's sort of, I want to call him the ass kicker of the angels. I don't know if that's appropriate, but he is. Like, if you ever need help working through fear or like blazing a trail in your life, call on Archangel Michael. He will come, he'll have your back, he'll be your bodyguard, he'll drag you through it. If you're struggling, you might not like it, but he makes things happen. So if you're ever feeling unsafe, you need protection, you need, that wind at your back, or that, gentle or not so gentle nudge, he will be there for you. He will help you through it. But he's a take action kind of energy. So when you call on Archangel Michael, it's like you're ready to do stuff. You're ready to make things happen. You need action right away. Call on him. And his energy is coming up because he's around right now. And so for some of you who are having trouble moving forward or getting over the ditch or over the hump or whatever you want to call it, call on him. And it's funny, when people ask Spirit for help, I think some of us think, oh, we're going to ask Spirit for help and we're going to get this like Spirit talking to us in our head or showing up in our living room and being like, hello, I'm here and here's how I'm going to help you. It doesn't always happen that way. When you ask Spirit for help, sometimes you have those experiences. You could have a dream, or you could have a vision, or you could just have a knowingness, or a friend might text you, or you might, be scrolling and something grabs your attention and the message is there for you. So Spirit will use other people to reach you. Even me right now, some of the things I might be saying, you might be like, oh God, I needed to hear that. Well, that's perfect, because Spirit uses all of us, not just, the people who call themselves intuitives. We are all being used all of the time. You don't know the power of smiling at someone in the grocery line, or just saying hi to someone, or just being yourself. Like, you are a perfect expression of Spirit. You right now, even knowing nothing else, just being in the world and just being yourself, you're out there changing lives, okay? We don't all have to be coaches and counselors and intuitive spiritual advisors. Like, you're out there changing the world, doing what you do, just being you. So that in itself is enough. All the other stuff is bonus. So never forget that, But when we do ask Spirit for help, it will come sometimes in the package of the people in our lives. Even our pets can do weird things. Like our animals can bring us signs too. It's really interesting. All right, so I'm going to the Native Spirit deck for our next card. This is a really beautiful deck. I'll be honest, sometimes I get decks in, I sell them in my shop, and I don't always want to open them. I'm like, oh, I don't need another deck. And this one I was like, well, do I need to open that? Probably not. I have a lot of cards already open. I freaking love this deck. Oops. 3 cards came out. Okay, guys. I don't know. Do we need all 3? No, this is the one. Okay, Spirit of Fire. So when I first started doing healing work, I was a little hesitant to use fire because to me, fire felt like a really strong destructive energy. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to use the energy of fire. Like that's just doesn't feel good. But actually fire is wonderful for transmuting things, even using it in a healing session on the body to really clear old stuff out and get it moving, or any kind of like cold, damp stuff or congestion. Fire, it's just like, whew, it's the thing to use. But fire is also that creative force, that creative energy. It has the power to create things, but it also has the power to kind of, raise things to the ground. And this is the energy we're in right now. We're being asked to complete the stuff from our past, to let those little things go, whether it's mental or emotional or spiritual stuff, or maybe it's even just clearing some clutter in your house. It's time to decide what you're keeping, what you're letting go of. You might have been dragging it around for 20, 30, 40 years, your whole life. It's time, guys. Decide what you're taking with you in the future, what you're leaving behind. You don't want to drag your heavy stuff into the future. Whenever I go on a trip, I'm very aware of this with my luggage. If I overpack and I'm hauling stuff upstairs, downstairs, through airports, up mountains, I'm like, oh God, I packed too many things. And for me, it's an analogy of, oh, I'm carrying too much baggage in my life. I don't need this. I need to go ultra light. And that's what Spirit's saying to us. We don't need all this stuff, like whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual stuff, or physical stuff. Go through your environments, declutter, let go of things you don't need. We live in a part of the world that if you get rid of something, you'll be able to find it again. Okay? Even if it's a precious thing from your childhood, I'm sure you'll find it on eBay again. Like we can access those things. You don't have to hoard stuff. You can let it go. So if you haven't been using it in the last year or 2 years, then maybe it's time to release it. And it's hard to do. I dragged a pottery wheel around, clay, and a kiln for the better part of 25 years, waiting until my kids were old enough and I could set up a pottery studio, and that was my dream. And I had all the glazes and everything. And then when I moved 3 years ago, guess what? I got rid of all of it. And did I regret it? A little. Because 2 months after that, I joined a pottery guild and got into pottery again. And I was like, God, I got rid of everything. But I was using the pottery studio that had all the equipment I needed, and I was leaving the mess there. I didn't have to worry about creating that space in my house. So I had the best of both worlds. I was able to access the pottery and be creative and do what I wanted to do without the mess and expense and everything else in my house. So it ended up being a bit better. So sometimes when we let go of the stuff that we're really attached to, we end up getting something better coming our way. Okay, it's having that trust. And I know it's hard. I like to hang on to the things too, guys. I know it's so hard, but just try. So this next 2 weeks, you're going to let go of something that's heavy that you've been dragging through your life, whether it's a fear or a mental emotional pattern or spiritual heaviness, whatever it is, or physical cluttered stuff you're not using. Get rid of it, okay? You'll feel immediately lighter. And a little hack that I tell my clients, if you're feeling energetically, physically, then clean up your space, clean up your room, clean up your house. Start there. Once you start doing that, your energy will shift. And the same with doing any kind of energy work. So many times after teaching a Reiki class, my students message me, they email me, they're like, God, I'm repainting my living room and I'm just renovating my house and I'm getting rid of all this stuff. And yeah, because when you shift the inside, your outside environment shifts to match it. When you shift your outside environment, your inside energy shifts to match it. That's why we have things like feng shui and interior design. Like as soon as you freshen up your space that you live in, you instantly feel better. Makes sense. That's the environment that you live in. So even if your house is in total chaos, have at least one room that's like a sanctuary for you where things are kind of the way you want them. And I know it's hard for those of you who have little kids, because I had three little boys, like close in age, and my house was like a Toys R Us exploded, and it was just madness and energy and stuff flying around everywhere, and nothing stayed the same. So I'd have my one little room that I'd go in and just hide out in. Whatever room that is. It might be a bathroom. Lock the door, have a bath, enjoy the silence. But look at clearing up your clutter, your stuff, the things that no longer serve you. There's a wonderful book where, the Magic Art of Tidying Up, I think is what it's called. And she has you hold something, and if it brings you joy, then you keep it, and if it doesn't, you discard it. Well, that didn't really work for me, because like too many things bring me joy. So I set it up that I'd grab something and get like a yes, no. So I'd get like yes or no, and then I'd have a yes pile and a no pile. But then what would happen is sometimes I'd get a no if it was clothing or something, and I'd be looking at the clothing. I'm like, but why is that no? I want to keep it. So then I had a maybe pile. But I'll tell you, once I tried the maybe pile on, I was like, yeah, that's definite no. So like your intuition knows. So you can like rip through your house and declutter in record time just using that yes, no feeling. And then if you get like waffling on it, then have a maybe pile. But don't let your maybe pile get bigger than the yes or no pile. But you'll feel better. You'll feel lighter just letting stuff go. And donate it. Like if it's good stuff, donate it. Give it to a friend. Don't throw it away. Sell it on the Kijiji or the Facebook Marketplace or the Craigslist or whatever. Just donate it. Just see, even the energy of giving something to someone else is a really beautiful energy. So absolutely consider that. Anyway, that was my little rant there. Okay, so one last card. You know what? The Romance Angels wanted to come out, so some of you are looking for love. I'm not going to sing, don't worry. It's funny because I've always had intuition, and people are like, oh, you're so lucky. That's such a wonderful gift. Well, it's a double-sided sword. For those who are intuitive, there's good things and bad things about it. But I can't sing at all. Not even pretend singing. When my kids were really little, like kids love singing, right? You could be a terrible singer and kids love it. My kids would be like, mommy, no, mommy. They were like 3 and 4 years old. So I can't sing, period. And I'm a big believer that anyone can learn to do anything, but I just don't know if that's possible for me. All right, so, oh dear. I feel like I'm constantly giving this message to those who are looking for love. It's worth waiting for. Oh, do you feel like you've been in a holding pattern for the last year and a half, 2 years, and then with COVID, impossible to date practically? It's worth waiting for, okay? So Spirit is on task with this. They've heard your wishes and messages for your life partner. They're coming, but it's a divine timing thing. Because here's the thing. When you're manifesting stuff that's just for you, that stuff can happen really, really quickly. But whenever we're trying to shift something in our lives that's connected to other people, especially a lot of other people or other events, things like that, then we have to take into consideration that person's life and what's happening with them. And so Spirit's sort of orchestrating this from above, if you can imagine, and trying to line it all up. So sometimes that means we have to wait. Now, that doesn't mean sitting around being impatient and being miserable and being angry that you haven't found your person. This means get off your butt, go out in life, do the things that you love to do, and just freaking enjoy yourself. Because guess what? You're probably going to bump into your person doing the things you love to do, and they're going to love doing the things that you love to do. So, hurrah, right? So, but don't get cranky. It's like ordering a meal at a restaurant. You don't follow the server in and start yelling at the kitchen to make your stuff faster. You enjoyed the company of your friends and family at the dinner table. And when your meal arrives, you're like, hey, it's here. So that's the same thing with relationships. Work on yourself. Love yourself. Take care of your environment. Do the things you want to do. Learn new things. Take some courses. Get out there. Do some stuff. Raise your vibration. You want to be in a good place when you meet that person because you're going to be a frequency match. So if you're angry and miserable and complaining and hating the online dating and all the people out there are horrible, guess what you're going to attract? More horrific experiences. So get off the sites, take a breather, do you for a while, get your energy up, and then go back to it. Or maybe you'll just bump into them in an organic way. but having that trust and knowing that spirit is on it. Okay, so I know it's hard for those of you who are in a holding pattern, you haven't met your person yet, but they will come. Okay, you just don't lose the faith and ask, you know, Archangel Michael to get in there and like blaze that trail for you. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up by going to our angel wing cards that I always end with. That my cat has been nibbling. But all right, so I pick a gold wing, a silver wing, and then a double circle one. And I just started doing this, well, I guess I've been doing this consistently for maybe the last 9 or 10 of these. Now it's become a thing. For those of you with little kids, my guys, when they were little, we would do something fun, just random and something fun. And then it all of a sudden became a tradition. They're like, well, we have to do that thing again. It's a tradition. Well, they made it a tradition because they liked how fun it was. So this is a tradition. Okay, because I said so. So the silver wing, new hopes and aspirations will emerge. All right, guys. I think this is one of the most positive readings we've had all year in terms of the energy coming. Smooth work or home relationships. Hell yes. Finally, thank you. Oh, we need a break, right? The key is to forgive and heal the past. Boom! Don't you love that? Out of all the cards, it's Spirit's like, hey, and we'll bring you back to the beginning now. There's a theme here today, guys. It's in all of the cards. So if you hopped on late, definitely review it. The great thing about the recording is you can fast forward through it because, you know, sometimes I get a little chatty about random things. But I really loved seeing you this morning. You guys have kept me sane throughout this whole COVID thing. Like, even though I'm talking to a screen, I still feel like I can feel your energy out there. Thank you. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week and definitely take some action, okay? Let some of that stuff from your past go, whether it's your physical clutter or the energy stuff. But just let's do it and get lighter so that when we go into the future, we can go forward quickly, efficiently, like a freight train, instead of like dragging a dead horse from our past through. Sound good? All right, everyone. Love you. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon.